Have you ever wondered why your depth disturbs people? Why the deeper you think, the more you stand apart? Why your silence, your questions, your refusal to perform makes others, especially women, retreat, criticize, or misread you? Søren Kierkegaard once wrote, "People demand freedom of speech as compensation for the freedom of thought, which they seldom use. But you think, and that's the problem. You aren't dangerous because you're aggressive. You're dangerous because you refuse to be predictable. And in a world where predictability is mistaken for safety, the intelligent man is a threat simply by existing. Modern relationships are built on comfort, not truth. But the intelligent man, he is allergic to illusions. He strips away masks. He questions why love feels transactional. He sees the performance in people's eyes, the gap between words and truth. Kierkegaard warned, "The crowd is untruth." When a man refuses to be swallowed by it, when he chooses solitude, meaning his own path, he shatters the system that keeps men passive. Women don't fear intelligence. They fear men they can't contain, because the intelligent man doesn't rely on flattery to be desired. He doesn't need validation to feel masculine. He doesn't chase, because he knows most chases are rooted in illusion. And when he loves, it's with terrifying clarity, not for comfort, but for revelation. That kind of presence, sharp, discerning, brutally honest, is rare. And what's rare is often rejected before it's respected. Kierkegaard called despair the sickness unto death, a man estranged from his true self. And that's what modernity fears most, that men might wake up, stop being charming, start being conscious. Because a conscious man can't be seduced by applause. A conscious man doesn't need to be liked. And when a man stops needing approval, he becomes free. And when he's free, he becomes dangerous. Ask yourself, why do you feel misunderstood in every room? Why does your silence unsettle? Because most people derive identity from being seen. But the intelligent man derives his from seeing, and seeing deeply terrifies those who hide. Kierkegaard said, "Life can only be understood backward, but must be lived forward." Intelligent men live forward, but they watch. They dissect power, emotion, fear itself. So what happens when a man stops being enchanted by games? He becomes unplayable, not because he's cold, but because he's whole. And that wholeness threatens an economy where confusion is currency. Kierkegaard walked away from his great love, not from lack of care, but from too much. He knew to live authentically meant rejecting society's script, even at the cost of everything. Men, listen. The smarter you become, the more isolated you may feel. That's not failure. It's the price of awakening. You scare people not because you're cruel, but because you're unconditioned. And a man who can't be conditioned can't be controlled. Most don't want love. They want usefulness, provider, protector, puppet. But the intelligent man steps outside those roles, and when he does, he becomes invisible to those still trapped in them. Kierkegaard called this the leap of faith, to abandon security for truth, to choose honest despair over fake bliss. That leap will strip you, but it will also awaken you, because once you see, you can't unsee. And intelligence, rooted in self-awareness, turns you from a validation seeker into a meaning seeker. And that terrifies people, sometimes even yourself. Kierkegaard wrote, "To dare is to lose footing momentarily. Not to dare is to lose oneself." Most men lose themselves not from lack of intelligence, but from apologizing for it. You were told to soften, to dim your light, to laugh at what's shallow, to trade your essence for acceptance. But acceptance that demands your silence isn't acceptance. It's assimilation. And the man who refuses to assimilate? He's a threat. You scare them because you're precise, because your words carry weight, because when you look at someone they feel seen, not flattered. And being seen is unbearable for those still wearing masks. Most don't want connection, they want comfort, reinforcement of their illusions. But the intelligent man shatters illusions, even in love. Because love to him isn't a game, it's truth. And truth doesn't always feel good, it feels real. That's why you face resistance. Your presence threatens a system that rewards performance. You don't beg, you don't chase, you don't over-explain. You walk away, not from anger, but because your soul refuses to be auctioned. And that kind of man, calm, grounded, sovereign, is more terrifying than any tyrant. Because he isn't reacting, he's choosing. And to choose consciously is the last true rebellion. Modern women don't fear intelligence, they fear presence. Because most are conditioned to expect performance. But the intelligent man can't fake presence. He's fully there, or not at all. And most aren't ready for that rawness. You scare them not because you're cruel, but because you're clear. In a noisy world, your silence disturbs. In a stimulated age, your stillness unsettles. In an era of constant availability, your refusal to be summoned feels like rebellion. And it is. It's the rebellion of a man who's reclaimed his mind, his heart, his attention. You don't owe anyone a reaction. You don't owe anyone your confusion. The intelligent man doesn't explain himself to those committed to misunderstanding. Notice how uneasy people grow when you stop oversharing, when your eyes say more than your words. That's the energy of a man no longer begging to be understood, and that terrifies not just women, but society itself, because society thrives when men are distracted, addicted, chasing. But the intelligent man doesn't chase, he chooses. And that calm deliberation makes him unreadable, unplayable, untouchable. Kierkegaard called it the single individual, the man who separates from the crowd, not in arrogance but in authenticity. He walks alone, not because he's antisocial, but because most paths lead to noise. And he wants truth, depth, God. Here's the paradox. The more rooted you become, the more people will try to shake you. Not because you're wrong, but because you remind them of what they abandoned. Their depth, their integrity, their silence. In love, this is even more profound. The intelligent man doesn't romanticize chaos. He doesn't confuse drama for passion. He seeks alignment, not excitement, peace, not performance. And when he speaks of love, it's something holy, not hormonal. That kind of desire, steady, sacred, unwavering, can terrify a woman who's only known love as turbulence. It may feel cold, but it's not. It's stable. And stability is unfamiliar to those addicted to emotional whiplash. But you must not shrink, must not soften your clarity to be more palatable, must not hide your intelligence to seem less intimidating. Your role isn't to fit into the world's confusion. It's to remain anchored in truth. And sometimes, truth walks alone. Kierkegaard lived that solitude, mocked, misunderstood. He walked away from love, not from lack of feeling, but from too much. He knew his mission couldn't coexist with others' expectations. And that's your challenge now. Will you keep playing roles for comfort, or will you become the man you're meant to be? Even if it means being feared, rejected, alone. The intelligent man doesn't seek to be liked. He seeks to be aligned. And when you're truly aligned, the right people recognize you. Not because you impress them, but because your silence echoes something they forgot they had. So stop over-explaining. Stop apologizing for your solitude. Stop doubting your vision. You're not too much. You're too real for a world that rewards fakes. And the more real you become, the lonelier it may feel. But the more powerful you'll be, because that power won't come from charm or wealth, but from your refusal to abandon yourself. You've come this far. Don't stop now, because what's on the other side of this path, clarity, solitude, self-mastery, isn't just strength, it's freedom. And Kierkegaard understood. The price of true freedom is everything that once made you feel accepted. He wrote, "Anxiety is the dizziness of freedom." Because once a man stops outsourcing his identity, once he no longer seeks permission to exist, he faces the terrifying truth. There is no map, no approval, no one to tell him he's on track. There's only him, and God, and the abyss between. That's why intelligent men scare the world. They walk into the abyss, eyes open. They don't hide behind distractions. They don't numb themselves with noise. They sit in the silence. They endure the questions most men never dare ask. Who am I without my roles? Without my validation? Without someone clinging to me for stability? Most men run from these questions. The intelligent man lives in them. And when he meets a woman, he doesn't seek to possess her, fix her, control her, impress her. He seeks to see her. And that kind of seeing is rare. It pierces vanity, ego, performance. It demands presence. It demands truth. And truth is a fire most fear, because it doesn't flatter, doesn't negotiate. It simply is. And the intelligent man, grounded in that truth, he becomes a force that can't be swayed by charm or broken by rejection. He isn't cold, he isn't harsh, he's simply whole. So why are you avoided, misread, villainized? Because you've stopped chasing shadows. And when you stop, those who live in them feel exposed. Your presence becomes a judgment, even when you say nothing. Your standards offend, even when you don't impose them. You've become a mirror. And most people hate mirrors that don't lie. But your job isn't to flatter. It's to reflect what's real, first in yourself, then in the world. Kierkegaard spoke of the knight of faith, a man who lives inwardly before outwardly, who depends not on logic or emotion alone, but on a calling that can't be explained to the masses. The knight of faith walks unnoticed. He isn't loud, isn't decorated in titles, might not even look successful. But inside him burns a light no trend, rejection, or loneliness can dim. And that's the man you're becoming, not one seeking an identity, but embodying one. Let's be honest, it's not easy. You'll lose people. You'll question yourself. You'll face nights where the silence screams. You'll wonder if you're broken, because you can't enjoy what once thrilled you. You'll walk away from relationships that felt like home, only to realize they were built on sand. But you'll also feel something new, a strange, unfamiliar peace, a stillness, not from being liked, but from being right with yourself. And that peace, that alignment, that integrity, it's worth everything you've lost. So no, you're not too quiet, not too deep, not too intense, not too much. You're becoming whole. And in a fractured world, wholeness is terrifying because it can't be manipulated, can't be seduced, can't be bought, and above all, it can't be ignored. You're not broken. You're becoming. And what you're becoming is what the world is desperate for and terrified of. A man who can't be moved by lies, not even the ones he once told himself. Kierkegaard believed every man is called to become more than the world expects, not in status, not in fame, but in truth. What I lack is to be clear in my mind what I am to do, not what I must know. Your transformation isn't about knowing more. It's about becoming more. Becoming what? A man no longer defined by reactions, expectations, or fleeting desires, but by the commitment to wholeness, no matter the cost. By now, you've felt the weight of this path, the ache of solitude, the sting of being misunderstood, the exhaustion of being the only one who sees while others play blind. But here's the truth. Most won't tell you. That pain, it's sacred. That loneliness, it's not your enemy. It's your proving ground. Because once you've learned to walk alone, to sit in silence, to observe without reacting, to love without losing yourself, then, and only then, do you become truly untouchable. The intelligent man who embodies Kierkegaard's truths doesn't fear rejection, because he no longer lives to be chosen. He has chosen himself, and that changes everything. It changes how you love. You stop seeking someone to fill your silence and start seeking someone who respects it. It changes how you work. You stop performing for a paycheck and start building something that mirrors your essence. It changes how you exist because you're no longer driven by escape, but by alignment. And this alignment makes you rare, not because you're better, but because you've dared to face what most men won't. The unbearable light of your own potential. Most men run from it. They settle, shrink, conform. But you listened to the whisper, followed it through the fog, through the heartbreak, through the ridicule, and now here you are. Not finished, not flawless, but free. And that freedom, quiet as it seems, speaks louder than any performance ever could. You've learned to walk away when something insults your soul. You've learned to say no, not to hurt, but to protect. You've learned peace isn't found in others, but in the absence of self-betrayal. You've learned love isn't a transaction, it's a mirror. And the woman worthy of your depth, she isn't the one who flatters your surface, but the one who sees your silence and stays anyway. Maybe she'll come, maybe she won't, but either way, you won't wait in desperation. You'll walk your path alone if you must, whole either way. Kierkegaard lived in solitude, but not sorrow. His pain became scripture. His questions became fire. His writings became the map for men like you, men who feel too much, think too deeply, and refuse to perform for approval. So if you're misunderstood, good. If you're feared, good. If you're called cold, distant, arrogant, good. It means you've stopped being digestible, stopped living on the surface, started to matter. Because the world doesn't need more nice guys, more charm, more puppets. It needs real men. Men who know who they are, who walk in silence, who love without losing themselves, who speak when it counts and disappear when it doesn't. Men so rooted in truth that nothing, not even love, can make them abandon it. And if you're that man, or becoming it, know this. You won't be for everyone, but you'll be unforgettable to the few who see you. You won't be worshipped by the crowd, but you'll be respected by the rare. And most importantly, you'll respect yourself in the quiet moments, the hard choices, the long nights when you choose truth over approval. If this speaks to your soul, don't let it end here. Share it with someone still in the fog. Subscribe for more truths they won't teach you. And if you believe in this mission, support it. Because your voice matters, your mind matters. And the world needs men who dare to think and live this deeply.